Alright, with the Hebrew Israelites, come out here week in, week out to prophesy the downfall of your kingdom. Alright, like to start off by saying double honors to the apostles of GMS. Honors to you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity. Alright, and as you can see, man, we got some rumble in the jungle, as it were. Alright, got some things that are coming up in 2015, like I was saying last week, man. Right, and the Most High is in that spirit of taking guys out, and more specifically, man, the Most High is in that spirit of, destroying His kingdom, man. Right, and that's what that's what you're gonna see more and more of, man. You're gonna see more and more of different countries going into all kind of financial debt. Right, you're gonna see more rumors of wars and wars, man. Just right now you got this thing up there in France. People, they shot up these 12 geezers, man, that were doing this cartoon, and that was all kind of wickedness, man. All right, but that's Esau for you, man. That's the devil for you. When I say wickedness, I'm saying wickedness on a worldly basis, because really, fuck their, when it comes to these scriptures, man, fuck their, to hell with whatever they believe in, man. Right, to hell with their Muzi doctrine, man. When the Most High comes back, He's gonna establish, righteousness, true righteousness, right? Following the 613 laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High as the scripture prescribes, man. And that's when all kind of beautiful things are gonna happen, man. Right, like what the scripture says, man. The scripture says, when the righteous are in rulership, the people rejoice. So when we come into power, man, after you served your hardcore 1,000 years of captivity, man, being whipped in chains and all of that, man. Right, by the men that keep this faith, man. Not the men that don't keep this faith and are persistently seen with the people of the world, like it says in 1 John 2 and 15, man. Love not the world, neither the things that are therein, man. The black power, black consciousness and all of that. All right? That's all going to come to naught. Right? The Most High is dealing with GMS, with the house of David, and He's going to raise up the ruins of David, like it says in Amos, the 9th chapter, and the 9th verse, man. Right? And in so doing, whilst He's raising up that they elected the men, right, you're also seeing the fall of this kingdom, man. Going back to the first point I made, right, with the falling of these different countries, man. Right, the falling of their financial structure. And once their finance goes, guess what? They're gonna have to go into war to kind of keep themselves afloat, man. Especially the Americans, man. The Americans are synonymous for that. Every time the dollar starts to see some trouble, you hear of some kind of war happening out there, man. Because war is business, especially for these American idiots, man. War is business, man. War means business, and war is business for them, man. That's how they keep afloat. All right? Let me get into the scriptures, man. And I quoted something there in the book of Amos, the 9th chapter. And I'm going to start at... I'm gonna start at a little higher. Start at 11th verse, and this is Amos 9 and 11. It says, "In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen." Right? What's the tabernacle of David? Right? The house of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel. Now the thing is, with the 12 tribes of Israel, they're scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, because Israel, man, the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, right, for simplicity's sake, they get it in, man. They're all up into having sex and all of that, right? We like all of these different kind of women from these different nations. So guess what, man? You're gonna have it to where Israel's gonna come in different shades and forms, man. Right? Matter of fact, the scripture says, gather the saints of the Most High together. In fact, we go into the scriptures when it talks about the gathering of the 12 tribes of Israel, man. You find out that they were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, right? That it was going to come in different shades of form, but the Most High was always going to have mercy upon His elect, no matter what they look like. All right, and that's what's happening right now. The Most High is raising up those 12 tribes, right? He's raising them up. Right, and like I said before, man, with the uprising of those 12 tribes, you also see the simultaneous destruction of the society. Now here's the proof of that when we read up a little bit. In the 8th verse, it says, "Behold, the eyes of the Lord power upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving utterly, I will not destroy the house of Jacob." Right? So there's a simultaneous destruction and salvation thing going on. Matter of fact, when you go into the word of salvation, what does salvation mean, man? It means you're being exempt from something, right? That would otherwise mean otherwise means you won't live, man. Right? That means to say there's some kind of some kind of destruction that's happening, man. Right? And that's what the salvation means, bro. You got all of these Christians, right? Whether they be of Israelite stock or not, that believe that they're saved. But what they really exempt from, man? They ain't exempt from doing wickedness, because they do all kind of wickedness, man. Right? There hasn't been no judgment for them to be saved upon, so they really ain't saved. Right? But when the Most High rains this hellfire upon this earth, right, coming from the Russians, coming from them Iranians, coming from them Chinese, right? That's when you're gonna know what you're gonna be saved from. Right? That's where you're gonna know. That's when you're gonna know you need salvation. As a matter of fact, when you go into the book of Proverbs, the 1st chapter, what does it speak of? It speaks about all of them people that have seen the truth, right? They've gone by the truth. They've seen the men of the Lord out there in New York. They've seen the men of the Lord out throughout the four corners of the earth, whether they may be pushing this truth, and they took no heed to it. They're going to be the same ones that are going to be calling upon the name of the Lord, right? But the Lord ain't going to hear that, man, right? Because it's going to be too late in that day, all right? So it says here, behold, the eyes of the Lord power upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving utterly. I will not destroy the house of Jacob. So you're going to see the simultaneous destruction, right, of your precious kingdom, right, your finance, right? Because you know these people are all about their money. So their money, their currency ain't going to be worth nothing. It really isn't worth anything, right, about it, right? When you go up against the gold standard, the silver standard, man, right? Although the gold and silver prices are manipulated to considerably manipulated, because your buying power decreases, the price of silver is decreasing. It don't make no sense, man, right? And in reality, what you're gonna find out is when them silver prices and them gold prices come back into reality, you're gonna find out just how worthless all of these different currencies are, especially the American dollar, man. Right, but then with the American dollar, what you find out is all of that debt is spread out throughout the four corners of the earth, right? And what do they do? They give you that petrol dollar, man, right? That's why they call it the petrol dollar, because everything is sold in gold. Everything's not sold and backed by gold anymore. Everything's sold and backed by oil, right? So when you sell them the barrels of oil in American debt, you spread it. In American dollars, you spread that debt. Right, wherever them barrels of oil are sold, man. Right? Let me get back into the scriptures now. Back up in Amos the 11th chapter, Amos the 9th chapter, beginning at the 11th verse. It says, "In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and will close up the breaches thereof, and I'll raise up his ruins, and I will build it as it was in the days of old." Right? So just like how it was in the days of old, man, you had the house of Saul and you had the house of David. That's exactly how it is right now. You got people out here that say, that say they're in the truth and all of that, but they're really off the house of Saul, man. Right? And you got the people that the Most High is blessed. Lord's will, I'll be one of them, man. And then be the house of David, and that's what the Most High is raising up, because the house of David, right, is going to do what it's going to be. What it says here, right here, it says that they may possess the remnant of Edom. And all the heathen that are called by my name, saith the Lord, man. Right? So they're gonna possess whose possessions they were, man. Reading in the book of Revelations, 12th chapter, Revelations the 2nd chapter and 25th verse. Right? This is Revelations 2 and 25. It says, "But that which ye have already, hold fast until I come." Right? And what did the Most High give his men, right? He gave them the instructions. In fact, when you go into the book of Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter and the 12th verse, right? Scripture says, and this is the conclusion of the whole matter, that we serve the Most High and keep his commandments. This is the duty, as you ever heard from the beginning, man. That's the whole duty of man. That's all you have to. That's what the Most High put the 12 tribes of Israel, the elect of them, to do upon it, man, to push this word. Right? And that's why it says here, "But that which ye have already, hold fast until I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works to the end, to him will he give power over the nations. Right? And that's the same power was spoken of in the book of Amos, the 9th chapter and the 12th verse, man, that they may possess the remnant of Edom, which is the principal enemy of the 12 tribes of Israel, because they put all kind of hell upon the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, man. Right? For their captivity, right? For their ever pessimistic financial burdens that they put upon the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. Right, but that all goes back to the curses, because when you read the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, which I can touch on real quick, right? Right, this is the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. And I'm gonna start at the I'll start at the 58th verse and then read on down. Alright, it says, if thou wilt not serve to do all the words of this law that are written in the book, that thou mayest fear this glorious name, Yahweh, right? So one of the things that was prescribed was that you fear the glorious name of the Most High, man. Right? And in so doing, when you read in the book of Proverbs, the first chapter, maybe about the 7th verse, right, which talks about fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, right? Then you was going to start to understand how you're supposed to apply yourself within this truth, man. Right? But we didn't do that. We chose not to fear the Lord, and that's why we are in this predicament that we're in right now. Right? Last hired, first fired, right? All kind of grievous taxes. In fact, I think it reads on to say, man, right, the Most High is going to curse us in a basket. What is a basket? Going back into ancient times, a basket was your store, man. It was a means of maintaining your harvest, your gains, and your work. And that's what you have right now. You put in work and you put that money up in the bank, right? But if you look and you assess these situations, the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, what you have, man, they're cursed in the basket, man. Right? But through Esau, man. Right, Esau's the one that really is the instrument of applying these burdens upon them. Right? But what's going to happen, the Most High is going to flip it over, right? It's going to have it to where we inflict the same burdens upon them, where we're going to tax the hell out of them when we're in our own society. We're going to whip the hell out of them when we're in that society. Far more, way past 1,000 years, man. You're going to serve your hardcore 1,000 years, you're going to be bound and burnt, but for the rest of these even, they're going to still have to be put into line every now and then, man. But for the most part, really, it's going to be all right. It's just going back to what I said before, man. Right, when the righteous are in rulership, man, the whole people rejoice, man. Right, and the scripture also says, whatever manner of man the king is, so are the people, man. And what you have right now, you got wicked kings, man. You got the kings of this earth, they don't even show their faces, man. They live in darkness, man. They live like a rumor, man. Right, first and foremost, because they ain't men, they Edomites. Right? But secondly, because that's how they summon up their power, man, through darkness. Right? Because they're the wicked, man. Alright? Getting back into the scriptures, it says, then will the Lord make the plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and soul sicknesses, and of long continuance, man. Right? Speaking about the diabetes and all of that, man. Sickle cell and all of that, really diseases that really, the Most High has got it to where they only really attack Jake, man. In fact, when you go into the history, you know that the Most High can have it to where certain plagues were only supposed to hit certain people, man. Speaking upon Egypt, right? When the Most High sent them plagues upon them, man. When the swarms of flies came, them swarms of flies weren't touching Jake, man. All right? The swarms of flies were only really interacting with it and pissing them Egyptians off, man. That's the same thing that happened to us with these curses, man. Right? Sickle cell, diabetes, all of that. Man, that only really affects one group of people, man. Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, going to the fact that, right, they didn't choose to fear the Lord, man. Right? And that's why they're in the condition that they're in right now. But guess what? The Most High is going to flip it over. Right? And now these long sicknesses and these sufferings, these plagues are going to be applied to our enemies, man. Right? It says there, Moreover, he will bring upon thee the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. It says, also, even every sickness and every plague that is not written in the book of Lord, then will the Lord bring upon thee, and thou, until thou be destroyed, and you shall be left few in number, whereas you were as the stars of heavens for multitude, man. Speaking about when we was coming over, when they was transferring the slaves over to the Americas, man. Right, you would have had something like 10% left, man. 90%, you lost 90% of people's lives on the way there, man. Right, dudes were dropping dead like flies, man. Right, and to where it's been said, man, them sharks still even follow that path today because they got so used to finding bodies in that route. All right. But the same thing, like I've been saying, man, which might be, the underlying topic with this this particular camp, man, is the fact that the Most High is going to flip it over, man. Right? He's going to apply the same burdens to our enemies, man. Right? All of these, all of these different heathens, Moab, Ammon, right? And especially the Edomites, because they've been the principal ones that are come up against the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, man. They're the ones that put you Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans up in captivity and all that, man. All right. It says there, and it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do good, right? So just how the Lord was rejoicing over us to multiply us and bless us and all of that, man, right? It says there, and to multiply you, so will the Lord rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught. And ye shall be plucked from off the land, whether thou goest to possess it. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all the people. And that was the point I was making a little earlier on, the fact that you guys gonna have the elect of the Most High, right, spread out throughout the four corners of the earth. When I say, not just the elect, man, you guys gonna have the 2/3 out there as well, right? It's gonna be scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Oh, Israel was scattered throughout the different nations, man. Right? It says there, I'll scatter thee among the people from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there shalt thou serve other gods which shall neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Excuse me. It says, and among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have any rest. Right? And that's what was going to happen, man. So even though it might look like it might have it to where a dude looked like he was a Edomite, you might have it to where a dude looked like he was a Moabite or anything like that. If he was the stock of Israel, like scripture says here, man, right, they was going to have the same issues that regular Jake have on a day-to-day basis, man. All right? It says here, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind, and the life shall hang in doubt before thee, man. And that applies to the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. Our lives hang in the balance before us, man. Right? You never know where you pay your bills or you're gonna eat. Man, hey, certain Jakes have it hard to where they even know where the next meal's gonna come from, man. Right? But really, the people that the Most High is putting through hell right now, them are the ones that are most likely to be of the elect, man. Because the rest of the people that are enjoying our ease, quote unquote ease, right now, man. Right, the Most High ain't gonna be really dealing with it because they had their consolation, man. All right, it says there, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, right? That thou shalt fear the day and the night, and shall have no assurance of life, man. Right? And that's speaking about, that's really speaking about the elect, man. Because when you find out how the Most High was going to select the men and how they was going to be, man, you find out the elect, the real elect, man, the ones that the Most High is going to save, have mercy upon. They were going to be having, they were going to be quote unquote bums, man. And a lot of people have a problem with that, man. Right? The truth of the Most High, the truth about these scriptures comes from people that ain't wearing suits, man. They ain't driving in BMWs and all of that, man. Right? It comes from regular dudes, man. Right? With regular day-to-day Israelite issues, man. All right? It says there, and in the morning thou shalt say, would the Most High it were even, and even thou shalt say, if the Most High would the Most High for mourning for fear of thine own heart, wherewith shall thou find fear. So you gonna wake up hoping it was the night, man. You gonna go to sleep hoping it was the morning because of the situations you are in, man. You ain't gonna take no pleasure in your life, man. Right? But you got certain dudes out here that think this is an easy thing, man. That this was gonna be an easy thing, but it wasn't supposed to be an easy thing. Otherwise, everybody would do it, man. Otherwise, everybody was gonna be of the elect, man. Right? And I read this one. It says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by way of I spoke unto thee, and thou shalt see it no more. And there shall thou be sold to thy enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, right? And there shall no man buy you, man, right?" Speaking about and that whole paragraph was speaking about the curses that were put upon us, man, right, by the Most High Himself, right? But they are undertaken by the so-called by Esau, man, right? And that's why David wrote the psalm where he said, "Release me from the protect me from the wicked, which is thy sword, man. What do you do with the sword? You execute judgment." Roughly paraphrasing. Now, getting back into this, in the book of Revelations 12, the 2nd chapter and the 25th verse, it says, "But that which ye have already hold fast until I come. He that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations, and shall rule them with a rod of iron, and as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken, even as I have received of my Father." Right? And that's what's going to happen to these different nations that had perpetual reproach on the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, man. Right? Even the scripture says it, man. Although Esau's going to come being all peaceable and all of that, but he's going really in his heart is